Hello, and everybody. Welcome to Nightfall by Amsterdam. So we join Eric Ulrichsen. The aftermath of the battle has been one of brutality, retribution, and honestly, shock. As Eric finally makes it back to the quiet home in Sept of Riddling Waters, broken, bloodied, still rocking that number of damage. Yes, some of it was healed, but he is still feeling that brutal sword cut to his chest. As he sits there with the head of the Magnuson Alpha in his lap, the blood skirting onto his, I wouldn't say armor, more leatherish type thing. It's not designed for anything. It's an odd feeling. It is one of surprise. It is one of vulnerability for a warrior that, to be honest, thought that his quest for vengeance and quest for justice would not take this long, and again was almost cut so tragically short. As he sits there, putting the head on, not on the porch, but on the table in front of him, staring into the cold, dead, lifeless eyes of the guru that murdered his father, or was at least responsible for murdering his father. He takes the locket out, the one of Skull chasing the moon, and just simply glances at it, reflecting the image in his own eyes, to the eyes of the dead man, through the moon shape to his own. It's an odd feeling, and it's an odd sense of quiet.
And Grace has been a very vigilant shadow. There was a brief period where he first started just to numbly walk off the field, where she was not beside him. The reason is evidenced readily enough in that she has strapped together the dead man's armor so that she can carry it, kind of hooked up under her arm, kind of wrapped it up in the cloak some to make it a bit easier, and has even tucked his sword and the sheath for it under her arm. There's more in there. She didn't leave anything. She knows enough to know that this was very important for Eric, to know that this is something he wasn't going to forget. This is something that ties into his family. This is something that ties into who he was before he came here. And for all she knows, any one little ring or pendant or bauble could have been something that was taken from his home, or could have been something that meant something. So she took all of it. Absolutely all of it. Just to be sure, just to be thorough, just to make sure that there wasn't going to be some moment when the shock wore off where he went through and realized there was some important symbol that he didn't get back. She'd hate herself if it happened. So she has since caught up. I mean, her legs are a little shorter, but she has the energy and the kind of awareness to, once she had everything all bundled up, skitter along, make up the gap, and has since then just been walking quietly beside him. Not touching, not talking, just walking. Right there in arm's reach. Close enough to be a presence, but not so close as to be obtrusive or to maybe put up his hackles. She doesn't know how possessive he'll be. And she's walked the whole way back to Sept and back to their home. Just like that. Kind of hovering close by. Being in reach. Being available. But being quiet. And so when he finally goes up onto the porch and sits himself at that table and begins to really sit and just look at what he's brought back, she picks her way up behind him, not quite in traditional arm's reach, mostly to make sure that she doesn't trigger some sort of reflexive caution in him. of having someone at your back at blade's reach. She doesn't want that. She lets him walk up first and then gently, you know, with much lighter, much softer footsteps, but audible ones, tick, tick, ticks up behind him. And as he settles, she'll watch, keeping a glance over her shoulder periodically, much like the picture, as she goes about and just carefully over the rail of the porch drapes the cloak, carefully kind of unfolds and tries to figure out and prop the armor so that she's not laying them on the ground. And finally, at the corner, plops the sword so that, the upper portion of the sheath is sitting on one angle of the corner and the lower end is propped on the other angle so that it's just kind of splayed between. All the baubles and whatnot will get carefully kind of piled on top of the cloak. And finally, gingerly, she'll pick her way over and not say a word again, not yet, but takes a chair and pulls it out from the other side of the table and plunks herself not at the side while he would be like at the head, for example, but pulls it over kind of to the corner. Not directly on side, alongside, not pushed up against, but again, just kind of available and close enough. And just goes to sit herself down, looking not at the head. I mean, glancing at it. But that's not where her interest is. She's studying Eric. And I'm going to make a willpower check, because I need to.
No.
See how she's dealing. Pull up the roller. See how she do. She's holding it together. So she's just studying him. She's worried. It's pretty clear on her face. She's not brave facing this at all. No, she sits in the chair and is leaned forward a little and is not staring in his eyes, but glancing at his face, glancing at his posture, studying, fretting, and honestly, probably thumbing around that little bauble he made her just to keep her hands busy and keep them from pulling at the clothes, checking the scar, checking the cut, making sure he's okay, reaching out, touching him, any of that. Just something to keep her hands busy.
And just see him with the little necklace idly. Again, the three-way parallel. And what he'll say is very quietly, like his voice barely whispered, but you do hear the deep, again, that sort of Ulrichson boom to his voice that he always has. He'll go, "Lo do I see my mother, and lo do I see my father. Lo there do they call to me." And he just, the two eyes, just, again, it's a state of shock and almost innocence, I want to say.
I mean, the voice, it snaps her eyes up. Not to look him in the eyes again, just to look him in the face, listening. It's not a sharp movement, but it's a quick little move of the head. If she goes from studying him and, fiddling and fretting to finally, the hands go still and her eyes snap up, listening. And does he continue? Or does he just kind of get stuck there?
Kind of get stuck there. It's like you would swear if he wasn't a Git of Fenris, he would have choked up, but it's almost because he's a Git of Fenris, he's not. It's that type of the Fenrir training is not letting him almost. You can slightly hear it. I'll give it to Grace because she's in his head and she's known him, been around him a while. when they said they called me, you can hear the thickness in his voice. But then it kind of that coldness appears again. But for the briefest of, I mean, like 30 seconds, you see the amount of pain on his face.
She leans forward a bit as he stops there because she doesn't know all of their sayings, all of their mantras, but she's sure there's more to it than that. So she leans over a little bit, kind of looking at him. And finally, very gently prompts, finally separating one of her hands, lifting it up, and just very gently looking to set it on the back of his knuckles. You know, not even wrapping the hand really, just kind of gently lays it there, barely making contact, keeping the weight of her hand off of his, just enough to touch, as she says. And
Who shall sing to me into death's sleep sling me? When I walk on the path of death and the tracks I tread are cold. And his eyes close and he strengthens again, and I imagine she keeps hold of the hand. Yes, maybe.
yeah, she just keeps her hand laying there. She hasn't gotten a negative response, so it becomes a little surer. Initially, it was this very light kind of touch, enough that you could feel the skin, not like just barely touching. It's there, but there is no weight behind it. But as he keeps talking and he doesn't throw the hand off, he doesn't react badly. She finally lets the weight just kind of sit there a little bit, becomes a little more tangible,
And
and just keeps the hand laying on the back of his.
she'll hear the thickness in his voice again because nope, Fenrir is. It's almost like he has to fight with himself when he says, "When you stand by the gate of death and you have to tear free, I shall follow you across the resounding bridge with my song, and you shall be free."
Only gives the back of his knuckles a very light squeeze. Does that mean it's time to say goodbye?
That was what they sung at my father's funeral. That was what my mother sung. We Orcsons do not sing much when it is time to say goodbye. We sing in the mist, greeting the common dawn, when the dead are still being prepared. But when the fires light, we do not sing. But my mother is a Sigurdsson. They sing when the fire burns bright.
She just nods. It's new information. She doesn't necessarily follow, but she's taking it in and kind of trying to reconcile it with what, the few things she's been told prior.
They believe that if they sing and the fire greets them, they will light the fires and raid for the wolves' holes for their dead, so they may hear them. I mean, you can hear it in the voice and you hear them, the shake, you know what I mean? he just straightens himself up again, winces a bit in pain, but yeah, you hear the wobble.
Did you sing for him yet?
No. Not until... Just, she'll see him not glare, but just stare at the head. You know what I mean?
Until you made it right.
Yes.
The lips kind of work for a second. And she turns a little bit in her seat. Sets the little... actually, yeah, sets the little wooden charm on the corner of the table so that she can bring up the other hand as well. So that they're both kind of cupping his, but not, again, not getting in the way of the fingers holding the charm. Not keeping him from moving it around. And you're ready to say goodbye. Sing.
I'll be... It depends. I expected to be here a while.
Oh no.
And now the question is, do I return home? Or do I stay here? That is why I've not chosen to sing yet.
Well, it kind of finally tugs a little bit towards the corner, not into a smile, but kind of into that little sideways jerk that people's lips do when they're kind of dreading something. I miss you. Nothing else. Even if you don't stay for anything else, you should stay long enough for Runa.
I've made my decision.
Just like that.
Indeed.
Well, what happens now?
I am not done here. There are still his kin. They are still committing the same crimes. Still committing the same atrocities.
They are?
To leave now would be selfish, and I would be no better than the Magnusons if I left.
And finally, that first hand trails off the back of his. And I mean, he can see it. It just kind of sways up lightly, looking to touch his cheek, not in a necessarily, way meant to be purely intimate, just reaching up to gently investigate the scratches from where, the gouges from where he was thrown so violently to the ground. The remaining telltales of the incredible blow he took. She can't really get at the proper scar, the proper injury. But there's still those places on his face where the flesh has been, ripped or gouged by the dirt, by the rocks, by the ice. And so she's just gingerly swaying the hand up, just checking. And I mean, I'm sure there's some mild sting to it. She's not poking directly at them, but she's kind of gently pressing at the flesh to one side to see, essentially, is this deeper than it looks? Again, the brows have kind of re-knitted into a very worried expression. Just, she's trying to find something to focus on, and for the moment, it's what's on his face. It's where her eyes can go.
Plus, there's you, and I cannot abandon you. I made a promise. An oath.
Suppose we still got hunting to do here.
It is more that I agreed to lead, and to care, and to provide. I am not some man who takes these people's hearts and tosses them away when he is done or what he is needed.
She finally cracks. It's a weak attempt, but she cracks a little bit of a smile, as if to make a joke, as she says, "Oh, you think you could stop me from following you?"
It is more not about following. Enough people have left you. Enough people have asked you to leave.
The hand slowly kind of just eases down from his cheek as he's talking, and, just kind of idly rests on the shoulder just because it's there. It's kind of just where it lands.
I want to be the first person to make sure you had somewhere to stay.
And this time it's a much smaller little smile. It's not cracking like a playful grin. It's very small. It's a lot more openly, well, kind of shuddered. She, doesn't look, doesn't tilt the eyes towards his, but tilts them the other way, kind of towards the back of his head. That kind of subtle look away. I always kind of figured that wherever you were was a place to stay, right? Oh, houses and homes don't last.
It is more of the fact that I am not planning to take you anywhere just yet, because it would be unfair on you after moving around for so long. You have finally somewhere to settle. And shipping you with me to Bloodfist in a world where you have no time to see who you are. It's not fair on you.
I suppose Does it make it real hard to move a family out here too?
There will be time when you can bring your family. And then, believe me, it'll be easier when they're here to go to Bloodfist. But it is not about your family. It is about you.
And it's funny because she just kind of. It's unconscious. You can tell she's not doing it on purpose. It's just that little head shake. Like, nah, no, it's not. Like, not because she thinks he's lying. She just doesn't take it in.
And more of the fact that while you provide for your family, you need to have a family that provides for you.
Wouldn't that be a trick?
What I'm doing.
That's when she finally shifts around in a meaningful way. Like, just all of a sudden, it goes from very slight actions, very careful, measured actions, to her giving a good, hearty scooch of the chair to bump it up alongside his. Just so she can kind of like weave one arm under his, weave one over. Hopefully on his good side. But just kind of hug the upper arm. That's safe. But she just kind of latches on and sticks her cheek on his shoulder. You know, you're gonna spoil me for anyone else?
What?
Gonna get me all used to being taken care of?
Neil gently, she'll see him actually like close his eyes as he just gently transitions her into his lap essentially.
I mean, he's got the strength for it, I'm sure. And she's not exactly gonna fight him.
Oh, it's painful for him, you know what I mean?
She'll help. Especially when she sees the wince. She'll finally actually help and climb up there. Just to keep him from having to use the upper body muscle, from having to flex it, because though naturally as soon as she's up there she can't help it. This is a really sweet moment, but he's still hurt and she won't be able to help but kind of tug at the shirt, get kind of frustrated because the funny thing about dedicated clothes, he shifts back and the shirt is there over it like an asshole instead of cut open so she can see it. So she almost immediately kind of gently tugs to see if she can like get a look at it.
He'll just very ease off the shirt essentially to make it easier, and she'll see it. The beard, just do you know what I mean? Even though it's healed mostly, just ooh.
Yep, that's still too ag. Yeah, she will even go so far as to like grab the ends of the sleeves and kind of like help him so he doesn't have to move the arms around so much because she doesn't know how close this thing is to his shoulder. She needs to get a good look because in the moment when it happened, she was treetop and she was just pretty flat convinced he was dead. She really didn't get a chance to look at it. But yeah, she kind of tugs the shirt off, which I'm sure is getting slowly bloodstained, and sets it aside of the head, towards the end of the table, towards one side. Just kind of like carelessly flicks it there. Eyes still on him. Oh, Jesus.
It stings.
I'll bet. She even leans out a little bit from his chest just to kind of get a good look at the entire length of it.
It's a pretty sizable fucking sword cut, like top of the shoulder, cuts deep in. You can see the end bits of the right, just at the edge of the hip bone, like it just straight across the fucking chest, just whack.
Ooh.
He didn't pull through at the end, which is What saved me?
Look, all your guts didn't come spilling out. I feel like you should have lost a lung or a kidney. Maybe not a kidney there in the back, but
It's
you
why I
know.
turned my body at the last second.
I just thought it was the force of the blow.
No, I turned my body. Took the brunt of it. But he got arrogant.
Fuck me. Hope you fucking know how to handle a sword like that better than he did.
That's why I'm alive and he isn't.
It's also why you got a sword and he doesn't.
Nod. I put it through his eye, so when he joins, just stare, and you can see that is right through the fucking eye, like perfect.
It's still in there, isn't it?
Yep.
Mmm,
Probably
delicious.
the blade is broken, I imagine, with such force that he pushed it down. You know what I mean? Part of the blade is, at least.
Oh. Yeah, I see that.
It is to show when he tries to enter Greatfather Hall, they will mark him as the One Eye, the traitor. I thought about letting him live so I could take him back and execute him in the old way, but no. This is a more fitting crime. To mark him.
Yeah, dare say so. Having to wear a scar like that, even when you're gone, even when you're living forever.
Are you alright?
Well, me.
Nod.
Yeah. Yeah, she like pats herself down like, did I, maybe I forgot. Hold on. Like, there's a brief self-assessment because let's face it, she's been very focused this whole time, not thinking. But no, she pats herself down and looks back up like, yeah, I'm fine. Fine. Might have hit the ground a little hard and taken a tumble, pulling them down, but no, I'm fine.
It's more making sure that you yourself are not hurt. I could not see in the battlefield.
Oh,
I was too
boring.
busy.
And I mean, she doesn't want to touch any part of his chest and shoulders and stuff. There's a lot going on there. So on the better side of his face, she just briefly like reaches up to kind of like touch the cheek, almost cup it for a second, just kind of make some reassuring contact. And she says, "No, I'm fine." Quick little fucker.
I noticed. But then again, they were not anticipating me, nor the Silver Fang.
I don't think they were anticipating much of anything.
They were all cowards. They were designed to scout, not to engage in direct combat. That's why I decided we should charge. He winces again, because like even turning his shoulders, like, fuck me, that stings. Just, ooh, it's that type of. Ugh.
He winces again, and she kind of grimaces, like, "Hold on, give me 1 second, okay?" Just like makes the little hands gesture, like, "You stay here," little thing. It starts to kind of like shift her weight to hop up on her feet.
Yes.
And yeah, if he doesn't stop her, she will quickly pat her inside and grab the thing, whatever bottle has the strongest proof on it. It could be whiskey, it could be vodka. She doesn't care. She just grabs the strongest proof bottle, glasses, just grabs the fucking bottle, comes out, and on her way back over, of all the items that were being carried, it's the one that was passed on. So she'll snag the cloak from the portrayal. And she comes over, immediately offering the alcohol, like, essentially going to like go so far as to like bump it into his palm, just to kind of provoke the automatic grasp instinct.
He does, he takes it.
And
Wincing
then
slightly.
very gently, now that she has the other hand free, picks up the shoulders of the cloak and just goes to set it across his back before she goes to climb back onto his lap. There you go. Take a good swig of that.
He does. It takes not like he doesn't drain it. He just takes a healthy Whew.
I'll make you bleed a little more, but I suppose if there's anything bad in your system, it'll come out with it, yeah?
I am glad that at least no one fell.
Came close. You sure as fuck had me fooled. And Bosco, he got fucked up real bad.
The Silverfang took a heavy wound, but he carried it well.
He did?
He's
Jesus.
a good fighter.
The two of you, I swear to God, by the end of it, the only thing holding each of you up was the other one.
He's a battle brother now.
Never seen a man take a blow like that straight to the goddamn face and just stare back.
They are hardy people. That is why we especially respect the Gleaming Eye. They are hardy folk.
No joke?
Although one did run.
What?
The Metis. It's funny. It's that Eric. It's the Eric stare. You recognize it is though. Oh, you know what I mean? It's the final there he is. He's back again. You know what I mean?
It takes her a second, and she kind of computes. Oh, that's right. She fucking did.
She did. It did.
Thank you, because she would have said it, and I'm a moron. Oh yeah, it did.
That is fine. It is not fine, but I will make it clear my opinion of it.
You suddenly got a lot quieter.
I will make it clear my opinion of it, he says, quite firmly. Probably the additional pain adds a bit of firmness to it as well, you know?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Well, don't you worry. I finally get to do my job. Or the fun part of it.
Make sure it is nothing too brash.
Finally start to catch an edge of that little toothy smile. Just like the playfully menacing, not anything earnest. Oh, don't you worry. I know I'm still Gleath. But Turns Tail is just such a fitting fucking name.
Like I said, as long as it is not too brash, and you takes our pause, and is something that everyone can agree upon, I have no issue.
I mean, it wouldn't be the first time someone tried to tell a ragabash to shut their mouth. It'll work about as well as all the other hundreds and thousands of times it's happened in history.
If it tries to attempt to accost you, then I will give it the Fenrir response to its cowardice.
There's that moment, followed by a blink and a slow lean in. Is there a specific one for that?
I have seen some philodoxes of my tribe brand people for running away.
No shit.
Considering the wounds we all took, each of us, in blood, fighting the enemy that declared war on this sept, to run on your brothers and sisters in battle is it even to get a Fenris. To some of us, as bad as joining the worm. It means you're abandoning the fight. You're abandoning the cause. If I had died, or Bosco had have died, that Metis denied its responsibility to the nation by not being there to support us. If a guru had died, I would not be here calmly with you now. I would be at its door, dragging it by the hair to the grave of the person whose life it cost. For retribution. And right of contrition to its spirit.
That's a good thing. All things considered, two that came the closest were you and Bosco, and if it had been you, I would have done a lot worse.
Like I said, keep it respectful to the nation's standards.
Of course. Don't get too fussed, it's just a menace.
It is not about... It is beyond a menace at this point. It is about to... He takes another wince, like, fuck me, as he takes a drink.
No, I gotcha. It's not about that.
It is more that our pack must be seen to uphold the standard. I have taken a great war wound, led a great victory. Now you must be the good example as my beta to see righteous duty of your auspice being done. It's for us.
Oh, don't you worry.
It's more using the Metis' failure to elevate ourselves.
I mean, at this point, is it even elevating? It's just proving the point through? We're not all talk?
Proving the point through still means elevation in some highs. It means that we are reliable to do what is right. I'd rather be known as that, if anything else.
She starts kind of fussily, tugging the cloak a little further up on his shoulders, like, yeah. Don't you worry. Not my job.
He reaches and puts his hand through his hair. Her hair. Were you frightened?
You know what? I'm not even gonna roll for it. She just does the me? No, it's fine. It is the most unconvincing thing she has ever said in her goddamn life.
He just gives a slow nod, like, okay, well.
She can't look like a pansy in the right here with the kid of Fenris.
He just gives a nod, like, okay, well, I will just, do you know what I mean?
Take a glance or two, see his response. And when he
like,
defaults to awkward Arun, she finally leans in, kind of wincing, like, I was pretty fucking scared. I thought you were dead. You big doofus.
Then why tell me you're not?
I don't know, appearances?
Who is looking?
I mean, I've always been told Get don't like weakness.
There is nothing wrong with being afraid of death. It is what you do in the face of that fear. That is the weakness, if you run from it. You did not run. You fought. In fact, you were instrumental in buying me time to get back up. That is not weakness. It is bravery.
Yeah, that hurts a death wish. I was just so fucking angry.
Sometimes bravery might mean the risk of certain death. That is why I did not run when I saw it. And he pulled the clave. Or silver greatsword or whatever it is. He looks over at it.
Yeah, she glances over, and if he stares at it for more than a few moments, she'll actually hop up to retrieve it and bring it back.
No, he'll keep her there. It is not time for that yet.
I mean, I'll be fine, but did it?
There is some time we have before I must don that armor, take the sword. So we have time before that. And in that time, I would like you to be honest with me.
Okay.
And if that means that you become emotional or passionate, I would rather see it. For it is just us two.
Are you sure?
That is why I've taken the time to study myself, but also to study you.
And she finally does the most. It starts thoughtlessly, like she reaches up, like to hug him around the neck, and she kind of gets halfway through that lunge upwards and pauses, and you can see her carefully trying not to slam into his chest, into the injury, as she more carefully proceeds. And yeah, just hooks her arms up around his neck because that's the safest place she can do it. Just gives him a fucking squeeze. Oh, I thought you were fucking dead. I didn't expect you to get back up. I thought you were fucking dead.
I have a saying among my people. Would you like to hear it?
Yeah. Yeah, I want to hear it.
Sometimes when you put a dead thing in the ground, sometimes it will get back up.
You know, if you could just keep doing that, I'd be okay with it.
The difference is they expect it to stay there. And it will come back. That is the Gate of Fenris.
And yeah, I mean, she even tucks her face into his neck. And it's half muffled, but I mean, you can hear it's like, I expected you to be cold the next time I touched you.
I'm not afraid of death. But I will not go quietly into it. As long as I have the strength to stand again, I will stand.
Just, yeah, just stay alive. I couldn't do it again. Really pulls back and like rubs at her face. Like it's that straight up like heel of the palm to eye. Probably not the best idea because they're both still covered in like so much viscera. I mean, truth be told, even rubbing even a little bit of like wet eyes will be enough to actually probably leave her face a bit cleaner than it started. I couldn't do it. then she goes back to just kind of studying his face, just in awe of the fact that it's, it's animate. It's not slack. It's, yeah, he's hurt, but he's definitely alive.
The Orcsons are notoriously hard to kill.
That's one of my favorite things about you right now. Like, she's trying to, like, brave face it, but, I mean, she's starting to get, like, this stumbly voice.
I do not intend on leaving this world soon.
I appreciate that.
I will need your help.
What?
When the time comes, I will need your help to put on that armor.
Oh. She just kind of looks over at it kind of numbly, like, oh yeah, that's there. Oh, yeah. Of course. Until you have some so it doesn't, up on anything.
Just nods.
Yeah. More nodding. Like, yeah, this is conversation that's not me getting myself worked up into a fucking tizzy. It's good. Yep. Noddle, noddle.
It is important for what comes next. My body,
Next?
I must stand and let them see the mist is coming. They will howl, and I can hear them. Their mocking jabs, their promises of victory and deeper retribution to come. It is the way of victory. But Guru have died. Both my own father and Magnuson's. They are traitors, yes, but they still died. Some of them were just soldiers following orders. Aruns like myself, Ragavashas like you. The crimes were committed by the elders and their dictation. So I will sing in the mist for my father, for them, for the tragedy of them following such a man as this. And I will make him see. Though his body will not see them, his spirit will be beside me, watching, hearing his crime. That is what the Theurges say. I must be strong doing this. And right now my hands hurt. My chest feels as if it is on fire. I will need your help to don the armor.
Of course. Yeah.
How does she react to all that? Out of curiosity, that kind of, commitment to honoring the dead almost.
I mean, she's very taken up by it. I mean, it's a Fiona watching someone else be incredibly passionate about something. But yeah, she's just kind of like, oh, got a little bit of the big eyes. And by time he's really talking to her instead of talking about it. That's why she's like, oh, yeah, of course. Absolutely. Yeah. Just because, like, I saw the passion.
Then when I'm done, I will need you again.
Okay.
To help me take the armor off.
Yeah. Of course. Like, Okay, that makes sense. Like, you could see her putting two and two together. Like, yeah, that checks out. Yeah.
Private.
Pardon?
I must not take the armor off until I reach the inner gestures inside.
Okay. You have
Until
to.
that point. Even if when I climb off the highest point in the sept, if you have to hold on to me, do so. But I must walk in.
Okay.
They must see me being strong. Not for me, for them.
Of course.
Do you understand?
She finally takes a second, like, sucks in a breath and, kind of shakes off the starry eyes of, like, ooh. Yeah. Yeah, I do. I do understand.
Once that is done, just nods, then I will be weak again. But it will be in private.
Yeah.
Is that alright?
Of course. Of course it's alright. He reaches up again and just kind of very briefly, like, thumbs his cheek. Of course it's alright. It's okay. I'll probably be pretty weak myself.
If Runa asks, you must tell her no.
Guess what?
That she can come.
Of course.
She must see me be strong. Yes, she is my packmate, but she's still
She's learning.
young. She will need to do the same one day.
She's still learning. It makes sense.
If you do not need to want to do this, I understand.
What do you mean?
It can be a tough role to hold someone up. Not because they are weak. Can be tough for people.
Oh, I want to?
Just a nod.
It's my job to find your weakness. But I'm your packmate. As much as it's my job to make sure you know it's there. I already know. So it's my job to cover the weak spots.
Yes. He just seems more relieved, if anything.
Yeah, she seems pretty serious about it.
It is what my mother would do for my father if he was badly wounded after a battle.
I suppose that all that matters is that you're on your own feet, right?
Just a nod.
Alright. Then we'll do it.
Then I will take care of you.
Don't you worry. You alright?
I will take care of you once we are away.
Don't catch her doing it again. It's again, it's not like a deeply intimate thing. It's just she periodically just reaches up and like just brushes the thumb across his cheek. Just it's it's like she's checking. It's like she's reassuring herself. Just she's just touching it to make sure it's there. Make sure he's still warm, kind of thing. And it's thoughtless and it's light. It's not, this deep moment. But it's something that he'll catch her doing again. Just reaches up and brushes the pad of her thumb along his cheek for a second and seems satisfied and nods. You alright?
I'm fine.
How long do we have before you have to go? Before you have to sing?
That is when the moon is at its highest. That is when you sing the Hallwagen. The way to hell.
Do you want to wash up first?
It is better they see me.
Just seems awful silly to bind up your chest if you're gonna have to take it all off to wash after.
If I wash and settle, I will not be able to get back up again.
Okay. She finally reaches over, snags the bottle, and knocks it back.
He'll stand. It's very slow. It's incredibly, you can see it. I imagine even if he didn't have six, if he didn't have the ag, I imagine he that was a heavy raid they went into. You know what I mean?
I mean, thankfully, it also gives her ample chance to hop off his lap.
Oh yeah, it's just you can get the impression this poor guy gave everything in that battle. You know what I mean?
Yeah, by the time he gets himself upright, she's like right there practically under his elbow already.
And he'll extends his arms out. Put the armor on.
Right? Give me just like does that thing where you hold up a finger, pause, look away, hold up the finger again, like just 1 second. And she scampers inside again and probably harasses Helga, at least briefly, like, I need bandages! But what she does is she takes like an old shirt, one of hers, just an old shirt, and kind of holds that over it just so there's something to soak up the blood. What little is still oozing out. And bandages that over the deep gouge in his chest. Just something to serve as, well, first off, to soak up the blood, and for two, to kind of pat him just a little bit against the armor that's about to go on him. And yeah, once she's got him wound up the length of his torso and even over the affected shoulder, she'll finally stand back and nod. She's used way too much bandage, but that's okay. It's padding. It's fine. And finally, reaches up to tuck the cloak off the back of his shoulders and drape it over the back of the chair he was sitting on, and begins very Um, very dutifully taking the armor, picking apart the various pieces that she strapped together, and beginning to strap them onto him. Kind of. I mean, you can tell she doesn't get to handle a lot of traditional old school armaments, but by the same token, she had to get it all off the guy in the first place. So she's kind of reverse engineering her way through. And she'll do that, strap the
Mm-hmm.
cloak on top of it, and finally bring over like she didn't even fuck around. Taking like the sword and carefully taking the sheath would have taken a minute. No, she just grabbed the whole belt. So it's probably one of those old school ring belts, and while he's still standing there, she'll wind it around him all of 2-3 times and secure it. He's got
And
the sword hanging on his hip as well.
when she does, he closes his eyes. You know what I mean? You can see it. It's like a crescendo almost building in the back of his head. You know, you can see him closing his eyes. It's like he's essentially prepping himself.
She's right there at his elbow, right on standby.
And they start to walk very slowly. You know, they get to the highest point in the sept area. He'll take the head in his hand and walk with it. You know, it's that type of way. And they eventually get to that area, and you see him draw the sword, sets it down, just thump, drapes the cloak down, and sits as the mist forms over. And I'll put it in the side chat here. Is what you get to hear is that. Skip to about 50 seconds in. And as the Song of the Dead begins, would you like to end it there, Katie?
Yeah, I think there we can end our scene.